Hello, divine creations, divine marvels, children of God. Thank you so much for dropping by and spending a little time doing what I think is actually the most important thing in life. Well, really, the most important thing in life is how we um, is living life. But what this channel is about, what this work is about, is laying the foundation. Without a good foundation, we're not going to be successful at anything. But most of us never really thought about that or were taught that. But without a set of both guiding principles and um, something we can absolutely depend on, then we're always going to kind of be a little wobbly in life. Because, first of all, we won't have a compass to answer the big questions. We may know what to do. For example, we get educated in a specific subject. Um, let's just say, for example, mathematics. And so we know how to then that person would know how to solve different math problems. And so they would know what to do, but none of us have been taught how to do anything, really. So, what I'd like to talk a little bit about today are some fundamental principles that we can use to navigate life. And also want to talk about what's our foundation, meaning, and what I mean by that is what's the thing we just utterly depend on and rely on? What's our rock, as they say? Without these things, without a rock, again, something we can really depend on, and without a set of guiding principles. Again, many of us have lots of skills in specific areas, but what I'm talking about is meta skills. Um, like, what are the fundamental values that to use to navigate life? And I'm going to share what I consider to be really the most efficient and ultimately that lead to the most joy, that lead to a joyful life. So thank you so much for dropping by. And here we go. And oh, before we go any further, you may notice in the background, I've got a picture of that guy. What does all this have to do with that? Well, first of all, I'm a big fan of his work, a huge fan, actually. And I consider his work not the founding of any religion. I consider that what human beings have done their best to understand what he taught and what he did, and have kind of structured it and kind of crystallized it. What I believe he taught is actually what I'm going to be sharing now, which is a set of life principles to have an amazing, awesome life. It's written that he said, I've come to give you life, that you may have life more abundantly. Most people interpret that to mean if I do the right thing or I believe the right thing, once I'm dead, then this guy is going to give me an abundant life. I completely disagree. What he taught and what he came to do was to show us how to live, to give us fundamental principles and values to have a successful, amazing life. Not necessarily successful in the worldly sense of the word, but not precluding worldly success either. To have success in the heart, in the soul. So, first and foremost, to navigate life, we need energy. And if we refer to the Bible, there's a few mentions where this guy talks about receiving a very special energy. In the Bible, they call it the living waters or the waters of life. I'm not so concerned what you call it, but I am concerned that we all learn how to take it in and to use it. That there is this resource available from God, and let's put aside all our ideas from God, what God is for a moment. We'll come back to that. there is this energy available from God that literally fills us up with life so that we can live life well. And it can actually heal too. So many things to talk about. Okay, here we go. First of all, how to receive this energy. It's very simple. Please sit with your legs uncrossed, feet flat on the floor, hands on your legs, palms facing upwards, back in an upright position, not slouched, not stiff, if possible, not leaning against your chair, just a natural, relaxed, upright position. Then please close your eyes. And now hand over all worries, all fears to your idea of a higher power or to a spiritual helper that you trust, such as Christ. Literally entrusting them with fear, illnesses, literally just mentally separating ourselves from these problems. Now, please think about health and wellness. Think about your healing. Bring your entire attention onto a vibrant, happy, harmonious life and a healthy body. And then ask in whatever way. Actually, let's take a moment and really focus on that. Health, healing, wellness. And then ask in whatever way feels right to you how to receive to receive the healing stream, the living waters, the divine stream that nourishes and heals. And now, please, having done that, please observe your body. Noticing what you feel. Having the intention to take in divine healing energy, divine life energy. Now, as you observe your body, please view every sensation now as a step towards your healing, towards wellness. Every sensation is part of a healing, a nourishing, your body being filled and nourished with goodness. Observing the body, intending to take in good life energy. Just keep noticing what you feel. Keep viewing it as part of a healing, part of your body readjusting itself back into divine order. So, a warm welcome to everyone who's joining in live and everyone watching this video. So, please continue to do this practice. I'm going to talk a little bit. Continue to observe your body, continue to nourish it with life energy. So, I gave an example of that we all learn these different skill sets. But what about the skill set of life itself? Are there fundamental guiding principles or fundamental principles we can all use to effectively navigate life? I didn't used to think so. I used to thought, well, everyone's kind of doing their own thing, and but what I've discovered is that there are simple, universal principles that can help all people find their way here on life, and not just find their way, but have an amazing life. And we've already started practicing one of them: the recognition that we need energy, which we all know, that's why we eat and sleep, but that it's actually possible to directly absorb it from life, that life offers that to us, and that there's this very simple way to take it in. Now, another very important principle for having a joyous, successful life is to watch our thoughts. Now, the thing is that thoughts actually move us to deed. If you watch yourself throughout the day, what you'll notice is that all day long you're doing things. And if you pay very close attention, what you'll notice is before every action, there was a thought. And on a very subtle level, you said yes to that thought. Those who came to my video earlier today, there was a great example of it. There was this big thing in the background, and all morning long, I had the thought, now I need to move that. I didn't know why. I didn't have the thought. I didn't think like, oh, I need to move that before the video starts because it'll create a funny background. It was just like, I need to move that. So I said yes to that thought. And then a second thought came, oh, I'm busy, I'll do it later. And I said yes to that thought. So I actually didn't move it. So this is a very simple example, and no major harm was done. The last video I made, there's a funny looking thing right over there. No harm, no big deal. However, how about this? We're walking down the street, having a really good day, and then all of a sudden we think, Jane or Mike or Alicia or Quinn or Janet or Tibby or someone they're such a jerk. They haven't called me back in 5 days. And if we say yes to that thought, then what happens? Then another thought comes. Oh, I can't believe it. They're not a good friend. If we say yes to that thought, then another thought comes. It's been an unbalanced friendship for all these years. I just give and they just take. And let's say that's not even true, but since we're stirred up, we just kind of say yes to it. And then more and more negative thoughts come. And then the next thing, the thought comes, I'm going to send them a text and let them know how I feel. And if we say yes to that thought, what happens? Ding. And friendship ruined or major drama. All because no one ever taught us to watch our thoughts and to choose which thoughts we say yes to and which thoughts we say no to. I don't know anyone who's able to completely determine all of their thoughts. There's kind of talk of like, well, it's very important to only have positive thoughts. I don't know anyone who can do that. What I'm talking about is learning to discern which thoughts to say yes to and which thoughts to say, no thanks. Then, the same example, let's say we're full of good life energy, which makes it much easier to watch our thoughts. Then that first thought comes, oh, Jane hasn't called me in 5 days. Hmm. And then the next thought comes, she's such a jerk. And we're feeling good and we're watching our thoughts and we're like, no, that's not true. Because the thing is a lot of our thoughts are not true. They're not healthy and they're not good. But we, the human race, I'll speak from my experience and many other people I've spoken with about on this topic, we just kind of have this habit of saying yes to whatever thought comes. We don't take the time to stop and ultimately look at each thought, but most of us look at any thought. Do I want to, and recognize that we even have a choice. I can say yes to a thought or I can say no. So let's really take a little time and reflect on this and watch our thoughts as we're observing our body, taking in this nourishing life energy, noticing what you feel, and then noticing which thoughts arise. And noticing we have the power. We don't have the power to control which thoughts just appear. That happens. But we do have the power how we respond to the thoughts. The thoughts that feel good and true, we say yes to. Or you have the option to say yes to. And the ones that don't feel good, hand them over to the divine. Hand them over to a spiritual helper you trust, and then ask for a good thought in its place. We have to be firm. We have to be firm with our thoughts if we want to be happy, healthy, and live harmonious lives. So, for example, I just became aware of a thought of me getting in an argument with someone in the future. I could even see it, and I started to feel stress. And that's how we know, okay, that's not a good thought. Here, God, here, Christ, here, other spiritual helper we trust, have this and please a good thought. So, once again, please continue to do this practice of taking in this energy. I'm going to talk a little more. So we've looked at some fundamental principles of life that we need life energy and that there's a simple way to take it in. And then what directs us through life is the thoughts we say yes and the thoughts we say no to. They literally move us to deeds. And I spoke of having a solid foundation. There's only one foundation I know of that's utterly solid. And of course, we have to cultivate it and get it to the point where it's completely solid. I'm not there yet, it's a work in progress. But there's one principle that works in every situation, that can be applied to all situations, and that is faith. Also, another, or you could call it trust. Trust in life, trust in God. That no matter what's going on, there is, in religious terms, we'd say the hand of God is present. Maybe from a more spiritual perspective, we'd say all things, you can say all things serve the good. That while we may not like what's going on, everything serves a higher purpose. So to take on such a faith and trust, in general, we have to throw out all our old ideas about God and take on the idea that God is all good. And, the definition that works for me is that God is love and life and harmony and goodness. And from there, I trust that God is those things absolutely. And from there, I begin to look at life through the lens of anything that happens that's not good is actually a lesson. It's actually for my benefit. Any parent can tell you sometimes they have to do things that are very painful and hard to do for the well-being of the child, as can any teacher, anyone involved in any kind of childcare. Sometimes that which is wiser than the child has to make some hard decisions. And sometimes, as parents of older children can tell you, sometimes one of those hard decisions is allowing the child to experience the consequence of their actions. If a parent actually protects a child, if a child does something that's wrong, harmful, and then the parent protects the child from experiencing the consequences of that, then the child never learns the true meaning of what's good and what's not good. What's good being that which creates harmony and health, is healthy and helpful. And what's not good is that which is harmful. So if we can take on the view of faith, then yes, one of my singing idols when I was younger was Tori Amos, and on a song that she released, it was on a kind of a rare track. She said, "I found the secret to life. I'm all right when things aren't all right." And I heard that and I said, "Whoa, she's right. That's the secret of life." But Tori, you didn't tell us how to do it. But our friend Christ did. To have an absolute and utter faith in our Maker, in goodness, in love. So let's reflect on that a little bit. Taking in this good energy. Noticing how you feel. knowing that every sensation is the divine energy filling your body. So I'd like to thank everyone for joining in, and um, I'm really excited to be offering these videos. I've been on a 31-year quest to understand what Christ actually taught, and finally found it. So I wish you a day full of aliveness and full of faith. And I think the last thing I'll leave us with is, part of this faith and trust is trusting that everything will be okay, even when all the evidence is to the contrary. And right now, March 2020, there's some evidence that could be interpreted, it's always an interpretation, that things aren't going to be all right. It's just an interpretation, and there is a larger reality. I'm utterly convinced that there is a larger reality that holds all of us and holds everything, even this current world health crisis, is actually in service to the divine, and it's actually here for us to wake us up and teach us. I don't believe it was God's first plan or second or third or fourth. I think we're, for the human race, this is like God's, 100th millionth attempt to teach us to live in harmony with nature and to live in harmony with each other. Hopefully we get it this time. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. I do these broadcasts often. Please do come back. And I wish you a day full of trust and aliveness. Take care. Much love.